We continue our work at the Ukrainian Crisis Media Center, and now we're going to talk about the start of the educational donor project, Integral Leadership in Education. We have Kateryna Yasko, educologist, social entrepreneur, and member of the Public Council of the Ministry of Education in Ukraine. Pranjala, a principal at the International Apple School in Dubai with over 20 years education experience. Irena Pranskevičiūtė, the trainer with social entrepreneur from Lithuania with extensive experience of European projects implementation, and also Eva Rambala, certified NVC trainer. Dear colleagues, welcome. Good morning, dear friends, colleagues. For us, it's a big honor for us to be here today with our great news. We are launching the project. In definite sense, it's a dream project of our colleagues, our team, other NGOs in education sphere. It's called Integral Leadership in Education. And this project will be implemented throughout the year, including till March 2018. The organization that is responsible for its implementation is International Institute for Integral Development and Empatia Pro portal. And at the very beginning, let me tell you more about the project itself. Last year, our team has worked over the great project, which was called Social Integration through Development of Emotional Intelligence and Peacekeeping Skills in Schools in Eastern Ukraine. And during the year, when we were implementing these projects, together with the best experts and trainers in the spheres from all over other countries who came to Ukraine to teach Ukrainian educators emotional intelligence and teach them world best practices in education that exist, which allow to change consciousness and allow the cooperation in the school and society. After finishing this project, we evaluated the results together with our partners and the Ministry of Education in Ukraine, as well as donors. We decided to expand our activities. We decided to implement the project, which will cover not only the east of Ukraine, but also other regions. And thus, we have selected 30 educators from all over Ukraine. Among them, we have school principals, teachers, as well leaders in educational area, the leaders of NGO in education. And during this year, we have invited more great experts and trainers, educators, who work with innovative methods and technologies in sphere of education from all over the world. We did it in order to start sharing with Ukrainian educators those best world practices and try to integrate it in Ukrainian educational policy. The project will consist of 3 modules. The first module will start already tomorrow. This is the module for the adult participants of the project, the main program. It will start tomorrow and will last for 5 days. It will take place in Kharkiv, and educators from all over Ukraine will come there and will work together with Pranjala, my colleague from Dubai, and Eva Rambala, the NVC trainer. The second module of the study program will take place near Kyiv in July. It will be called Integral School. We will cover broadly in media all those events that will happen during this study program in July. Because we will have a lot of experts from other countries. Among of them will be Irena from Lithuania, also experts and trainers from Russia, Hungary, and other countries. The third module will take place in October. It will be joined by our colleagues and experts from the US. Part of the training program will take place online. We will have courses of webinars dedicated to child psychology, neuropedagogy, and psychology of development. I would like to stress, before I pass the floor to my colleagues, that we are very happy and very proud that day by day the public civic society of Ukraine starts influencing the forming of the educational policy in Ukraine, and we expect the ideas which will develop through this project, because every team of every school that is participating in this project aims to develop their own strategy of their own school to form the values and the vision of the school. So in fact, we contribute to the strategic development, which was earlier more pertinent and more close to business or public communities. And now we are bringing these technologies which will allow to build stronger communities of parents, teachers, and children at schools. And in fact, what we observe and what we take part in is the activation of parents themselves, because the ideas of these projects were rooted in us as parents who take care about this country and the future of their children. And in fact, we are forming the community of active citizens of our country who are ready to help, to teach teachers and to educate teachers according to the new standards. We also notice that our resources sometimes are not enough, and it's quite natural, since for many years the pedagogy of Ukraine was not flourishing, and in order to recover it and renew it and to build the consciousness parenthood, we really need help. Therefore, we invite our friends, our partners. We are very thankful for their wish to help, for their wish to come, not for the first time. Each of our guests here has come for a few times in Ukraine already. They continue to come and they continue to work with teachers and educators in Ukraine. I would like to pass the floor to my colleagues. I would like to start with Irena Pranskevičiūtė. And I would like to open our discussion from the question, Irena, besides the fact that you will tell us what you want to share with Ukrainian educators, what are you observing here and now in Ukraine? What trends can you notice? What can we hope for? And in your opinion, how do you think all these efforts that we invest in development of education here in Ukraine, would they be efficient? Would they have some results? Thank you.
I'm sure it's extremely important for development of a real power, real people, real network and community of those educators that are able to become real-life advocates for the new reform. It's great when country has new ideas and new strategies, but it's really complicated to make them work. And this is only possible when you find the best people in the country, even if there are 5, 30, 50, 100, then they start real shift. They share their knowledge, ideas, because they are burning for that. So I think that this project is helping to develop that turning point, the snowball effect, that can really make the time shorter for Ukraine to implement the really great ideas. What's concerning the trends and what's going on in Ukraine, through my experience traveling through different countries and going through independence period in Lithuania, I can clearly state that exactly this period of 10-15 years that is going now in Ukraine is the period when country has inner motivation to make transformation. Later, this passion goes down. So now is really a hot point to find the best people, to bring them the most prospective, the most powerful, really working ideas heading the future. And my role, what I see here, is to help these people to develop skills of ecological change making, not the destructive change making, but the change making through facilitation, change making through collaboration, change making through advocacy, through empathy, through really developing groups, communities that are able to bring further the ideas that is embedded in this project. And I'm sure I had worked with different social transformations in my country, and only the integral approach, when the individual person, community, culture, tools and processes are brought together, the change is ecological and the change is organic and fast.
Thank you very much, Irena. Eva, you're coming to Ukraine for maybe it's the 7th times or 10th times, and you've been working with so many teachers and parents and educators. What are you observing in Ukraine?
Honestly, I'm very jealous of the people you are able to gather here, because whenever I met teachers, I never met a group of teachers who were burnt out, who was helpless, hopeless. Probably I meet the cream of people who are really excited and ready to do something and want to learn and wants to change. So I am extremely excited to be here, and I would like to express my appreciation to have the skills to find these people, because I assume they exist in each community and each country. But it's not so easy to go to an area where you don't have personal connections and to find the people who are really motivated. So Ukraine is one of my favorite places. I'm aware I may not see the total complexity and reality of the country.
Could you please also elaborate on how nonviolent communication as a methodology and as a fundamental for the pedagogy of partnership, it's one of the concepts that is introduced by the new document, which is called Concept of New Ukrainian School, and Pedagogy of Partnership is basically the new paradigm in which both teachers, children and parents and school leaders are supposed to live. So how nonviolent communication could actually help build that kind of partnerships so that the relationships in the school would be nourishing and learning would be performed in the best way?
I'm convinced conflict doesn't start by the other person telling me something nasty or I tell something not nice to you, but it starts in my head with my critical thoughts. When I start to criticize myself or the other person, if I am able to watch these thoughts and I am able to transform them, what do I really want in that given moment? That's an extremely powerful tool. What I consider it's the basics of everything, like when it comes to human connection. The way nonviolent communication can help in our schools, most of us were trained in schools where partnership between the teacher and the students was not even mentioned. This is what I experienced as a student. This is what I experienced as a student who learned how to become a teacher. And we need to relearn how to set our boundaries and still be, in a certain aspect, the leader of that classroom, and give the sense of our students we are working with them together. And we are teaching about honesty. How can I express myself in a fully honest way without being criticizing, without criticizing the other person, and how to sense what might be in the heart of the other person. I'm really shocked when I ask teachers, what is your guess? What might have been the feelings and needs of your student when they didn't do what you asked? And sometimes I hear the feedback, I never thought about this situation from this perspective. I was always just thinking how to force or inspire the child to do what I asked. I am not questioning the good reason why a teacher is asking a student to do certain things. Usually they want them to learn. But the more I understand a system or another human being, the more I can influence.
Thank you very much. Pranjala, you've been here in Kiev 3 months ago during the International Happiness Day. And you're coming from a school where 2,300 children from 80 countries learn to be competent and happy. Can you please elaborate a little bit? First, how does a happy school look like? And secondly, what are the skills of the 21st century that you share these days with the Ukrainian teachers?
For your first question, in a happy school, it's nothing that we do differently or we do deliberately. It's the culture that is set in such a way that children feel free in the school. They are given their own spaces to learn, to explore, to innovate, to create things of their own. And there's a little stress on making them a little bit mindful through additional practice of mindfulness. So if these three elements are in place, and the school culture would be so strong that you would find the children, the teachers, the leaders, everybody to be having a pleasant attitude. So I guess that's what constitutes a happy school. And talking about the 21st century skills, there are 7 skills per se, but in schools and for our convenience, we try and focus on 4 skills, which are called the 4 C's, and they are collaboration, communication, creativity, and critical thinking. So we very strongly believe that if these 4 skills are developed in the students as early as possible in the school, they'll help the children become ready for the future, which is unforeseen, where we don't know what's going to happen in the future. The children are not aware of the kind of workforces they will join. But these skills, if they are developed, at least they'll equip the children to be ready for that future.
We all know that in Dubai, or in United Arab Emirates as a whole, there is the Ministry of Happiness and Ministry of Tolerance. Could you please share what kind of activities do they carry out, and how does it influence your life and the life of your community?
So Dubai is, I think, one unique place, and United Arab Emirates is one unique country where in a very small area in comparison, you have 200 nationalities living together, and that too very peacefully. We do not have any, despite it being an Islamic state, we never have had any religious or community conflicts there. So people have a lot of respect for the country that they are staying in, and at the same time they are happy there because they feel that they are rewarded for the kind of work they do. So the Ministry of Tolerance is there to at least start, to guide the country in such a way where people, even though they are, they have that mindset, but then it helps them take pride in what they are doing, and then to further foster it amongst the younger generation. And I think that's the reason why in the classrooms, if you go to any school, in the classrooms you will find 25 children of 25 different colors. For them, it's very hard to believe that there could be a classroom where all children will look the same. So it's in that way, it's ingrained in them. And the Ministry of Happiness always ensures that there are certain programs that are initiated throughout the year to keep that spirit of happiness, promoted and vibrant throughout the year. So as a school, as a company, as an office, everybody is working towards it. And the government's agenda is to ensure that by 2021, we become one of the 5 happiest countries in the world. Everybody is very keen to reach this target.
Pranjala, what do you observe in Ukraine? And what kind of lessons could the Ukrainian educational community learn from that kind of prominent example as of Dubai?
So I have come here earlier in March, and during both the visits I have met a lot of educators, educational leaders, and in the course of my interaction I realized that those people are not very different from the people with whom I work in Dubai. They have the skills, they have the eagerness, and they have the enthusiasm. I think they lack exposure, they lack maybe resources, and maybe there is no confidence that's been instilled in them that yes, you can do it. So if these things are provided to them, I'm sure these people can turn out to be very progressive educators. And looking at these, as Eva has already mentioned, looking at these enthusiastic people, one wonders that if a country has such potential in the form of such receptive learners in the form of educators, nothing can stop this country from moving forward. It's just a matter of ensuring that there is more accountability in place, because when you talk about the school system, I know it's important to make sure that everybody is positive and happy, but then there is certain you have to make people accountable, because as they say, what cannot be measured cannot be controlled, and what cannot be controlled cannot be improved. So I feel that in the field of education also, along with creating that spirit of positivity, it's important that we give right amount of accountability, some place in the system, so that there are ways to measure people's work, their progress, and then they should be rewarded for the kind of work they are doing.
Thank you very much, Pranjala. Thank you very much, our dear guests. We are very much looking forward to starting the project, and we hope to get together again in at least 9 months in March in order to speak about the results. What was done during this year, what was changed, and how these teachers who will learn these new skills and new techniques from these wonderful professionals, how would they be disseminating and developing this knowledge all over Ukraine, in their communities, in their schools. So we hope that by that time we will also have few participants who will be sharing about their experience. And thank you very much once again. Thank you for coming to Ukraine. Thank you for supporting us. And we truly hope that together we will make it for the best future. Any questions?
Шановні колеги, чи є запитання?
Dear colleagues, do you have questions? If we don't have questions, I would just like to clarify which cities and which regions are you going to implement your project. We have selected for the project 6 schools. Among them, 4 schools are from Donetsk and Luhansk regions, and 1 school from Mykolaiv region and 1 school from Lviv region. And 12 more educators from different cities from Ukraine. Most of them are from Kyiv, from western cities, and from the south, in particular from Odessa. These are people who, for the last 3 years, dedicated their lives and their work for the benefit of the education in Ukraine and also psychological rehabilitation. As of now, we see the direct connection between how the children can easily and fastly recover their resources thanks to psychological resilience and preparedness of teachers. Even in those schools where there are many internally displaced children, they all suffered from war trauma in that or another extent. And we try now to invite into the system of education in Ukraine, to invite the best psychologists, the best experts who help to develop psychological resilience, and basing on this school platform where children spend a lot of time and have the possibility to assist this rehabilitation. So the participants would be teachers and also psychologists who has worked with war trauma during the last years, and in this synergy we see the prospective future. Thank you. Thank you very much. I wish your project will be successful and see you next time. Thank you.